What's up, everybody? This is Zach, and
Huzzah!
uh, you may know me as Zach Hughes, the black dude with bad news. But this week I am Zach Hughes, the black dude with American blues. And my co host is the time traveler who's come to prevent this all from happening in the first place, Tony Hoffman.
Oh man, all this responsibility. I just came back to check out some the old foods from this time period and you
Yeah,
know
I know when you
you,
arrived, you said, "Am I too early?" I was like, "No, you're a couple days too late, actually."
oh well, I'm always late for everything. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, you can't be a time traveler on CP time. Anyway,
No, you can't.
what's going on, Tony?
Nothing much. Obviously, like the big story in the world is the swearing in of Donald Trump. I actively avoided actually watching the inauguration on TV.
Okay.
I was just on social media and pretty much get the gist of all the important details and everything that happened. And
Well, I watched the inauguration coverage for the both of us. Uh,
mm,
I did it
thanks
so
for
you
taking
don't
that
have
bullet.
to. um, it it wasn't anything special. I mean, the swearing in was earlier in the day, Central Time. It was probably around like 9, something like that.
Yeah, and it like went all day. I even missed Jeopardy because of that shit, man. I was very
Yeah,
disappointed.
I didn't realize because like it had been a while since the last inauguration that I actively watched, so I couldn't remember whether or not it was an all-day affair or not. But this one definitely was.
Because I know like on the I guess the three major networks they stuck with it, but like on Fox and some of the others they pretty much cut away
Yeah,
at some
because it's
point in the
like
afternoon.
this. At a certain point, there's a law of diminishing returns. There's like, well, I think people have had about enough.
Yeah,
Let's
because it's like
move on.
right around like Jeopardy time. It was just them like walking through the streets, like waving to like nobody
Yeah, the
in the
parade,
crowd, empty
the
benches
saddest
and shit.
parade you've ever seen. Um, but yeah, so it started out basically the first event was, I mean, I guess there was like, I think somebody may have sang America the Beautiful beforehand,
Bullshit, bullshit,
but
bullshit, bullshit,
yeah,
bullshit.
then there was like as soon as I turned to it, he was doing the oath of office already. It's just like seeing that was just yeah.
Did you see like the concert that I guess happened
Oh
like the
no,
night before?
no,
Uh,
I didn't.
Three Doors. You're not a big Three Doors Down fan?
Um, I had to be reminded of what they even performed. But I was like, oh, that song. I always thought it was called
Because I've heard of
Superman,
them.
but it's called Kryptonite. Like, yeah, he's doing on me,
Okay, so that's them.
Superman.
Okay, because I remember
It's
because
like,
they showed up
oh yeah,
around that. They showed up around that period. What was it? Was that like the early 2000s?
yeah. It
Because
was
like
like
it was those old bands like Linkin Park and maybe like some of those other bands that
yeah, that
were
that
popular.
era of like
Yeah,
Nickelback and
yeah, yeah.
stuff like that. Um, but
Did you
yeah,
see? I know that I saw on on Twitter that Michael Flatley, Lord of the Dance, they had like a performance that
wait, like
Friday night.
Riverdance guy?
Yeah, the River
Is he
Dance
even
guy.
American? Thought he was.
Oh,
I thought that was like Celtic folk dancing. That's an American guy doing that.
I think he's American, but I mean,
Okay.
it just showed you just how like pathetic, the
Yeah,
entertainment was
you
for the
really have to like
fucking.
search. It was one of the things that I thought was funny beforehand. People were like, "Oh, they're saying your celebrity guest list isn't that impressive" on some interview, and then Trump was like, "Well, we have one of the hugest celebrities. We have Barack Obama." I was like, "Yeah,
What the?
he has to be there." Like, yeah, that guy is quite popular. So popular, in fact, that people would love for him to still be president. Um, but yeah, so you did the oath of office, and there wasn't a whole lot else going on because I think the main coverage I was watching was NBC, and because I didn't watch CNN because they're fake news. But it was just them talking about well, he did the oath of office, then he does his doomsday speech.
It's this
Uh,
dumb speech that apparently, he claimed that he wrote it, but then we find out hours later that someone wrote it, and just
well, I'm sure Steve Bannon had a huge hand in that because that was what a lot of people were saying, that it was like this. They were saying it was the most negative and dark inaugural speech in recent
and they're just playing
history.
to playing to his base. But
Yeah, it's like America is falling apart, crumbling infrastructure, crime rampant in the streets, rape, murder on every block. It stops now. Was basically what the speech was. But I, I mean, I, it didn't. Every time I see him speak, I've
you
been
just know
thinking
that
like,
he's not
oh
he's not talking to you or me. He's
no,
he's not
he's
talking to any
definitely
intelligent
talking
person. No.
past me
Yeah.
or below me or whatever. But it's just like, okay, this sounds like a stump speech. It sounds like you say something you say as a candidate. It's like, how about you speak as president?
Yes, you've
Be
already lied
presidential
now.
for
You don't have to
once.
keep lying.
Yeah, it's like, and like even his first press conference, and I mean, you could say he was still not sworn in yet, but that would still be a stretch. He's like, you think Hillary would do any better at this? It's like, who cares? It's over now. She's over it. You need to get over it. Um, but yeah, I just love all the memes from Twitter and everywhere else of Michelle Obama's face. Just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
fuck this shit. Um,
When she got the little Tiffany box, whatever the
yeah,
hell was in there Fembot, from First Lady Fembot, like
yeah, like
tacky fucking.
yeah. I watch Trevor Noah from the Daily Show is his run on that whole like clusterfuck of a scene was really funny because just like she gave her a box she clearly
She
didn't
handed it
want.
off.
It is like she handed it off to Obama and he passed it off like, hey, somebody just throw this away
Take this
from me.
shit.
But it's just such a weird uh like normally I don't think it's as awkward of a transition as this, but this just like from having a campaign that was so divisive, then you have to see these people in person. When you talked about them like they weren't actual people, it makes it even extra awkward. Like it's just so weird to see like uh after they did all their little photo ops with the Trumps, the Obamas got on the helicopter and flew off to the Air Force base to leave on uh, their first vacation out of office. It's just so weird to see like the helicopter going off. It's like the end of like a war movie or something. It's like, we're in for bad times going forward. Please come back, Mr. Obama. But yeah, so what is the story? Some people say that Trump plagiarized Bain in his like doom and gloom speech. What was the line that people think it comes from Bain?
Yeah, it was from the Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
I remember like the scene in the film where because in the movie like Bane takes the speech that Commissioner Gordon had written, where he basically tells everyone that the whole Harvey Dent thing, that Harvey Dent had
Okay.
killed a bunch of people and all that, and like okay, in Trump's let's see here, what Trump say? He said today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington D.C. and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. And the Bain quote is, "We take Gotham from the corrupt, the rich, the oppressors of generations who have kept you down with myths of opportunity, and we give it back to you, the people."
Right. The power is yours. Okay. That's more
Gotham is
comforting.
yours. None shall interfere.
that's that's more
Do as you
comforting that we
please.
have President Bane. That's great. Um, yeah, just it's just such a weird scene. Like, I'm just thinking of more images from the inauguration of him with like all of his kids and his grandkids sitting around him as he like signs off on these first executive orders, which is just so weird.
I still think he'll get impeached within the next
Oh,
year.
yes, I think
I can't see him being there for 40 because he's already. I mean, the whole thing with this press secretary, the what's his name, Sean Spire, you know,
Spicer, I think.
like lying and then not taking any questions about the whole attendance, thing with the
Yeah. I
inauguration.
think he actually like went the opposite way. He was just like, "This was the most people to attend
Yeah.
an inauguration ever." Period. I was
And
like,
then
"Really?"
on Meet the Press, that Kellyanne Conway,
Yeah.
cunt, like goes on TV and talks about, well, he wasn't like it was alternate facts,
I think the
alternative
alternative to
facts.
facts are lies.
That's
So
what that's what the host said
yeah,
on Meet the Press. Like those are falsehood.
it's just like he really culled together the worst of the worst for his administration. It's almost as if there's some kind of Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it's
it
just the
just
whole method is just appeal to your base and just just lie and lie until it's perceived to be reality.
yeah, that's why I was never able to accept the idea of some people that like, well, these are the things he ran on. He might act differently as president, but it's like, no, you know what's gonna happen? He put the power in the hands of all the people in his cabinet, and they are people who believe those things firmly, whether he does or not. So he put people in power who are going to enact his horrible promises he made on the campaign trail. So get
Still
ready
don't
for
know
that.
how Mexico's going to build that wall.
Well, they're going to reimburse us, as we've heard recently. So one of the memes I've seen, I think I posted on the Frustrated Grad Facebook page. It was like, "Who's going to pay for the wall? Mexico, me." It's like, yes, it's going to be us. Uh, so get ready for that extra wall tax. Lucky us.
And that's what I mean when I say he'll get impeached within a year.
I mean, there's so many things. He's going to run afoul of some kind of ethics violation. But
Oh, sure.
the problem with that is he has to that has to go through a Republican Senate. So I guess they'd rather have Mike Pence in the seat because they can control him a little better. But who knows? Like, it doesn't look good either way. I wish you could do like a double impeachment, but then who's the Speaker of the House would be the next in line. Uh, yeah, it's not a good look either way you go.
So I didn't watch SNL last night because I am just not a fan of it that much nowadays. But I know you watched it because
Yeah,
you
there was
watch every episode.
the closeout of the show was like, I was wondering where it was going, but it was just Cecily Strong standing in front of a large photo of Barack Obama, and she was singing "To Sir with Love," and I was thinking, I was like, okay, there's a joke coming here later. But I was like, oh, this is just a very earnest tribute to the
You see,
outgoing president.
here's the problem that I have with this now, in this whole about face that they're doing, where they're like, against Trump and very pro Obama. Aren't these the motherfuckers that are like one of the reasons that Trump got elected by having him host a
I don't think that
show?
moved the needle at all, but I think that was more of an NBC thing rather than an SNL and SNL writers thing.
But whoever made that choice, they basically like tried to like normalize him and have him be in their house and do wacky sketches and you know basically basically it was part of that whole wave of like, hey, it's normal to be, this piece of shit.
Trumpomania. I
Yeah,
mean, but that's the problem with that is that I mean sometimes you have corporate mandates. Like this is a person who, even though we've publicly removed him from his job at the Celebrity Apprentice as host, which he would have left anyway, going into politics. We still have left him on as executive producer. He's still a major part of our network, and we also have that in with him to get him on as a major guest for this show. So when they send the word to Lauren Michaels, there's not much he can say about that. I
it
don't
was
think.
just well, he does. He can control whoever hosts or doesn't host that show. They can't force him to, for they can't force somebody to host that show. He's the executive producer of the show and the creator of the show. I
I
just
mean,
think it was just a cynical ratings grab on everybody's part.
I mean that also plays into it, but I feel like if you watch Weekend Update, I feel like they really try to overcompensate for that. Like even I think there were quite a few shots at him on that week's episode on Weekend Update, and then like the following weeks they like try to make up for that.
Yeah, exactly,
So
exactly. It's too late, guys.
yeah, but I mean having him in your house is not a an endorsement, and I don't think his supporters or anybody was swayed by being like, oh, he was really funny in that sketch where he wore the dumb sunglasses, so I'm gonna vote for him now, as opposed to beforehand when I knew he was a nationwide celebrity.
But
There's
it
just
kind of screws
adding
up the whole
to
equal time thing. Like, why wasn't Hillary hosting SNL
I.
too?
Yeah, I don't think they turned down Hillary. She made appearances. I just think she wasn't willing to get like into characters for an hour and a half show. I think she was just that was not something that she prioritized on her list of public appearances. I mean, she appeared for one brief sketch throughout that run, but it just I don't think that
That
moved
that
the
that whole
needle for
Trump
either one of them.
that whole Trump episode was almost like a 90-minute, fucking like commercial for the political ad.
Well, I think it's just they tried to have him do other stuff that like wackier stuff that
Yeah,
most
yeah.
hosts would do, but
The
I
stupid
think
Drake thing.
yeah, but I think there were more things that he said no to than he said yes to. But I feel like I just think that a lot of people can be blamed for that whole distortion of equal time when you're dealing with somebody who's more known as a celebrity versus a political figure, because he's like people like news shows want to cover him because he is in politics, but you also have the celebrity angle. So there's we have two sections of our broadcast for that, and he's right now he's the biggest celebrity and he's also the biggest political figure. So how do we divide that up? So we'll just put them both together as this one long Donald Trump block, and then when we get to Hillary, who's more known as just a politician, it's like she only gets half the time cumulatively. So it just I mean, that's the problem you run into. So next
How was
election
Aziz?
cycle, well, Aziz was funny. I think the show, I feel like the opening monologue was probably the highlight of the show because it's not something I've seen from Aziz as far as like political humor, and I feel like it made me nervous to hear because I feel like he's more of a uh, I,
Funny.
I feel like he's more of like that kind of wacky stand
Relationship
up
humor.
like
Yeah.
relationship humor, more like
Nerd.
universal uh universally accepted humor, like the Kevin Hart level. It's like, okay, these are things that you can get everybody to laugh at. And when you veer into these more serious subjects, you start dividing people. So it was interesting to hear his first take on that, at least from what I've heard. And I think he did pretty well as far as like balancing it, like kind of calling for calm while at the same time hitting with a couple of
Yeah.
good jabs at like Trump people.
A white supremacist in the White
Yeah,
House watching a brown
lowercase.
man host.
Yeah, like there's this whole lowercase KKK thing, which I like that because it was definitely one thing you saw, like the people who pretended they weren't racist through Obama's turn were coming out of the closet like, oh, I can breathe now. So that was a funny thing that he pointed out. So the rest of the episode overall, I feel like I think the writers were struggling and they were just like, okay, let's go to uh, just some stock evergreen material that we we can do while we sit and cry in our beer. Um, but I feel like that monologue is probably the thing that stands out the most to me, and the ending with the "To Sir with Love" was just kind of an odd, sad way to
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
But like
Kill the momentum.
I understood it, but it's just like maybe maybe you should have moved this up earlier in the show
Yeah.
versus ending with it. But I'm not the director, so I I can't tell anybody what to do. Um, so uh, let's try if we can to move on
Oh, it's
to some
I can
non-Trump
not a problem at all.
stuff.
I would have preferred not even talking about it, but
I mean, it's the big Cheeto orange colored elephant in the room, so we couldn't avoid it. We would be accused of being out of touch and being fake podcasting. All right. So, what else do we have on the docket?
we have some poop news. That's not.
Great.
It's not actual poop like human feces. Well, it kind of depends on your.
I mean, we already, like I was saying, we should stop talking about the human feces now and move on to non-Trump news.
I see what you did there. But the Emoji Movie. Are you excited for the Emoji Movie? Hollywood.
Yeah, they might as well just call it Hollywood the movie because this is just
Cash
it's
grab.
yeah, it's just evident of the creative
Lack of
bankruptcy.
ideas and you can make a movie about anything. You can make a movie about soup.
Yes. Um, yeah. Prepare for a 7 movie anthology about Campbell's chicken noodle soup coming in 2018.
Chicken and rice.
Yeah,
Rice over noodle.
that's the sequel. You have to start with chicken noodle, then the in the climax
Chunky.
rice is introduced. Uh, so
Hearty.
so what about
Uh,
this emoji movie that I will
this fucking
probably not
Emoji
see?
Movie. I think it comes out later this year. I don't know. I'm not going to see it. But Sir Patrick Stewart, Jean-Luc Picard, has been cast as the poop emoji. What do you think about that?
I feel like this might be
Well,
the
animated
most
coil of shit.
this may be the most challenging role Patrick Stewart has ever tackled.
Lots of research.
Yeah, I really had to
Method
get in the
acting.
mindset of poop.
He has to,
What is
you know,
poop's motivation?
uh, he
Yeah,
has to become the poop.
yeah. That's what I often think in the morning. Like, be the poop, become the poop.
Be
Um,
one with poop.
yeah,
Corny. Corn.
yeah. If you want to talk about shit in movies, uh, there there's no better subject to talk about than a dog's purpose, which looks like pure shit, and
It looks like
it's
some
shittier by the
tearjerker,
minute.
fucking, heart tugging thing. It actually it reminds me of this movie uh, from like the '90s that I saw as a kid called Fluke. Are you familiar with that film at
No,
all?
I don't know what is this movie about.
It was like a movie with like Matthew Modine and like the voice of Samuel L. Jackson. It was like Matthew
Okay,
Modine plays this business guy who's like this asshole guy, and he gets killed in a car accident. And he's reincarnated as a dog,
okay,
and it's like the whole him like trying to like go back to his family and
kind of
like,
like Shaggy Dog type movie.
but it's more serious, more like a drama and
Really?
shit. And I guess like eventually like the
Also,
little
more like 9 lives then.
something like
the,
that. But
the more dramatic.
but that's what this movie reminds me because like the whole premise is that this dog keeps getting reincarnated. He has like these. He does like these awesome like he's like a police dog and then he dies and he's reincarnated as some other dog doing with a family or some other situation. But
Yeah, that movie just like I don't know how the pitch of that movie goes. Like, okay, here's the story.
we're releasing this in
We're
January. Well,
yeah.
the dumping ground.
Throughout the course of the movie, you will see 10 dogs dead. It was like, why? It was like, I don't want to see like that is the like Old Yeller or was the movie with it was a more recent one, but like the
Air
dog die.
Bud.
I don't think he dies in that movie.
I hope he did.
I mean, they've moved on to his children, so maybe Bud did die at the end of one of those movies, Mufasa style. But there's like the dog dying is like the pivotal crying moment in
The
these movies.
climax.
Yeah, so you're just gonna have an entire movie of that. It's just like who is the audience for this?
Exactly. Like,
Like, you know
well,
what? I want to see dogs dying. That's my favorite
uh,
genre of film: dog death movies.
I love pain. I'm sadistic.
Yeah, I just think that like, and and even as you see like the controversy coming out about the movie is just like, oh, they came very close to actually killing dogs during the making of this movie. It's like
Yeah.
they're not going to be
I
able to put that little disclaimer at the end of the credits. No animals were
No
harmed.
animals were harmed.
They were
Yeah,
traumatized, but maybe not harmed physically.
I mentioned the whole police dog thing where
Yeah,
well, there was a scene where okay, like they're filming this movie. That scene where the scene where he's like supposed to be going through like a river or something to like rescue someone and like when they were filming it like someone had like secretly videoed them like forcing the dog into the water
yeah.
and clearly the
He was
dog doesn't want to
clearly scared out of his mind
yeah and
because that
like the it wasn't the American Humane Society. It was some other company
the
that's like the animal
ASPCA.
or the Animal Humane Association or something like.
Okay,
Someone was supposed to be on set to sort of like check the
yeah, like to
animals.
supervise. And that
Yeah,
person was fired, I believe.
yeah, exactly. Was immediately fired. So yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, that adds to the mounting list of reasons that I will not see this movie. I don't think anybody should support this movie. Uh,
they canceled their premiere. I
they,
think yesterday, like over the weekend.
I mean, they should just scrap the movie altogether. Uh,
Well, it's a little too late for that. Money has to be made.
yeah, I mean, the interview was there were trailers saying coming to theaters. That movie did not end up in theaters, so you can put that on Doggy Death on Demand, where all those sickos can go watch it. But if you want my
Okay,
recommendation,
I'm opening up the tab so I can check that out.
you want my recommendation, do not support this film. Cruelty to animals, whether it's physical or emotional in this instance,
But Dennis
it's
Quaid
not
needs
cool.
work. He's in Dennis Quaid.
I thought he was like on the run. Didn't wasn't the whole thing like he thought
That's
people were
Randy
trying to
Quaid.
kill him? Oh, okay.
That's his brother.
I got my Quaid's confused. Sorry,
He's in
Quaid.
Canada,
Yes.
filming sex tapes with his wife wearing, you know, Nixon masks or whatever the hell it was.
Great. I'll be on the lookout for that. But meanwhile, his brother's not up to anything more productive by
No.
being in this doggy snuff film.
It's a
So
doggy dog world.
yeah, a dog gets drowned world. It's more like it. So don't support this movie. Don't see it. Uh, don't. It makes me think of like the Bye Bye Man. Don't say it. Don't think it. Don't see it. Don't watch it.
See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
Exactly.
You mentioned, or we mentioned Patrick Stewart earlier, but
Yes.
the new Logan trailer
Yeah.
has come out. I haven't seen it because like when it comes to like stuff that I actually want to see, unlike
Yeah.
that
You should
stupid
avoid
dog
the
movie.
trailers.
Exactly.
I've seen one trailer It was like the
The
first like red
teaser,
band
yeah, yeah.
trailer
Me
where
too.
he like
Yeah,
puts the
months
claws
ago.
through the guy's head. It's like, okay, I've seen enough. I've seen enough to let me know I'm interested, and I just want to find out the rest on my own instead of being spoon fed the movie
Yeah, exactly.
over the months preceding it. Um,
March 3rd, man, getting close.
yeah, I felt like one thing I was thinking with how big Deadpool was and like it was the biggest February release. I thought February was gonna start being like a new hot month, but I don't know if there's anything like major slated for February.
John Wick 2.
I mean, I
There's
guess.
there's like a there's a there's like a kids movie that's coming out that same weekend that's big. I can't think of it right now off the top of my head. I have to check my
Yeah, but I
phone, but
felt like with Logan being, I mean, to me, I felt like it was kind of riding that wave of like, oh, let's make the next Wolverine movie rated R. I felt like that should have like moved into that February slot where people would have been like amped for another like
we want our violent
dark
movies.
violent movie, especially in this in Trump's America, violence reigns supreme. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, violence, violence in the streets. If you just look 3 blocks away, there are people being pepper spray. Oh, I'm okay. Actually, I'm okay with that. Um,
okay. So the weekend that John Wick 2 comes out, the Lego Batman movie comes out, and 50 Shades Darker. Big weekend.
all right.
That's February the 10th. Yes,
Yeah.
Friday, February the 10th.
So there you go. So maybe Lego Batman and 50 Shades Darker. Those will both be rated R and
Oh
have some
yeah.
intense violence. I expect there
Don't
to be
bet
more
on that.
violence in 50 Shades Darker than in Lego Batman movie.
Violence to the art of cinema and screenplay writing and
Yeah,
acting.
and, I mean, in the violence everybody wants to see, like actual sexual violence. People love that stuff. Anyway,
Uh,
um, but yeah,
Here's something I never asked you: is were you a big Power Rangers fan when you were a kid in the '90s?
I watched the. I guess you would say it was the first generation of the Power Rangers. There's been
Me
so
too.
many iterations after that, but
'93 to '96, the Mighty Morphin variety.
yeah. So I watched all of those, and I've seen the movies, and I
Okay, so
think
we're on the
that's
same page.
yeah. So I think that's pretty much where I got off the train. I think I tried to watch one of the more recent Power Rangers. I didn't get too far into the episode, but
I think once they
yeah,
became like the Power Rangers Zeo, that was in like '96. That's when
yeah. I think
because at that point I was like 13, 14, about to
yeah,
start
it's like I'm
junior
over
high.
this. I'm moving
Yeah,
on to professional wrestling. This is something for big kids. um, but yeah, I watched that first series, I guess.
yeah. So the newest trailer for the Power Rangers movie just came out, the full one. The movie comes out on March 24th, and in this trailer, they actually show their costumes and Zordon and their Zords in
Okay,
this one.
that's probably the one that I'm going to avoid. Is like I'm not excited for this movie at all, but I
I'm
want to give it
curious.
its own opportunity to
Sure.
sway me. I don't want to be caught up in the hype, like because that's the thing with popular franchises, and now everything is just based on a popular franchise now. But there's always the two hype trains. There's the hype where like everybody's saying this is gonna be the best thing ever, and then there's the counter hype where it's like, oh, this everything about this looks like shit. So I want to try to avoid that and
I
just
don't think everything about it looks like shit, but
no, but I mean that's the wave that some people get on with all these things. Like, I mean, like Ghostbusters last year, it was meh at best, but it's
at best.
like some people want to overcompensate, say it was great, and then other people like it. Everything about it was horrible, but it's like I'm just gonna let Power Rangers speak for itself, so I'm gonna avoid this trailer.
That's a sentence that's never been said before.
Exactly. Especially since they didn't actually speak for themselves because the original series was just repurposed footage from a Japanese show with Americans basically dubbing it. Um,
In this trailer, they actually say "go go." in this
Okay.
trailer. There's some fan servicey
All right.
moments.
another
Yeah,
another reason to avoid it. I don't want to be like, oh yes, I know that. Oh, I know what's gonna happen. That's that part from the trailer. Roll credits. Um.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like I mean, I guess like the only direction that they had to go in was a more grittier, sort of darker,
Yeah.
more realistic version. But it doesn't lean too heavily into it. There are some lighter. It's definitely a more lighter stuff in it at times. I mean, you got
Yeah.
your Alpha Fives and your
Okay.
Sordon, voiced by Bill Hader, by the way. Alpha Five.
Bill Hader is having like a renaissance in the casting of robot voices. Like he was involved in the voicing like some of the sounds for BB-8 in Star
Star
Wars,
Wars, yeah.
and now he's Alpha 5. That's just an interesting career path he's on. Um he kind of reminds me of the modern day version of that guy from the Police Academy movies,
Michael, what's his name?
Michael
Winslow.
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 Like Bill Hader is the modern era Michael Winslow.
I
Uh,
think that we can rank him a little higher than
well, yeah, he can actually
Michael
act on
fucking
his own
Winslow.
merits. Like he has other talents other than the vocal stuff. But yeah. Um, so the one thing I could say as far as my critique of what I've seen from the Power Rangers movie so far is that I really don't like the look of the outfits. Like
Neither do I.
I haven't seen them in full in motion in the trailers, but I've seen photos of the full outfits, and I've seen uh they've already
It just looks like a
released.
mess, like a ugly.
Yeah,
This
yeah, it's weird looking. Like I've seen the Funko Pop figures. They're I think they're on pre-order on Amazon, and like it's come up in my search history, like because I was looking at a Black Ranger pop because Zach, Black Ranger, of course. Uh,
who
and
is
then
not black in this movie.
yeah,
He
which
is.
is weird. The black guy is not the Black Ranger.
Why does that upset you? That was so
It,
stupid the first time
I
with the
mean,
Yellow
and the
Ranger
Asian
being
girl was the
Asian.
yellow. Like it was inappropriate, but like if I was Zach, I would have black would have been probably my top choice if I could choose my color, or I would have picked blue, but it wouldn't have been the
Yes,
same blue
the
as the
Blue
Blue
Ranger
Ranger.
is the Black Ranger in this one. He's the smart one. He's Billy in this movie.
So his name is Billy. He's not. Is there a Zach in the
I assume
cast?
it's
I
the
mean,
actor that's playing the Black Ranger.
me Zach is traditionally
Yeah.
a white kid's name, as many people have told
Oh
me
come on.
throughout the years. Um,
I know a couple of people who's black with
well,
the name Zach.
famously,
Zachary.
famously, one of our mentors, the late Terry Armour, he he referred to me when we were interning on the Stan and Terry show. He referred to me like, "What's that kid's name? Ralph." And this Stan was like, "No, it's Zach." He was like, "Oh, I knew it was some white kid's nickname." I was like, "What?"
Jeez.
I knew it was some white kid's name. So it stuck with me. It's like
Ralph.
I've never met another. Well, there was one other Zach in my elementary school who was black, and I did not like him. I had no logical reason, but it was like I'm
Yeah.
Zach
Well,
because I remember when my mom used to be able to call for me and say, "I want to speak to Zach," and they would just put the phone down and immediately get me. It was like, "You're the only Zach in the school." I was like, "Yeah." Yeah. So when I met another one, I didn't like him, but every Zach I've
see,
met following that has been white.
see, our situation is different because my name is Anthony, obviously, and that's such a common name, and
Yeah,
I've been
you
in
should
like
meet all kinds of Anthony's.
exactly. I've been in
Yeah,
class situations where I've had to use Anthony H or whatever.
you're like
Yeah.
Tony.
Tony, you
You should have just
Anthony
found
or
all of
Tony?
you should have found all of the Tonys in your school and just formed a band, a Tony
Tony,
tribute
Tony,
band.
Tony.
Uh,
Nice.
yeah. So I'm like, I don't like the look of these new Power Ranger outfits. A lot of people were comparing it to Iron Man, but it's like, well, Iron Man has a cohesive outfit. It's like it
I would
looks
say like
like there's only
Transformers, kind
yeah, like
of a
yeah,
mess,
related to Transformers in the
mangled.
sense that you can't tell what the hell is going on. It's just like a jumbled mess of like I don't know, is that supposed to be organic flesh or is it metal or I don't know what that
Gotta see the
is.
movie, Zach.
That's not the thing I'm looking forward to in the movie. I rather they just do it like original X-Men style and just get like tight leather in each color of
Like
their
late '90s, just
characters.
black
Yeah,
leather, black
where the
everything.
movies were ashamed to be about superheroes, but they were
Yeah,
about superheroes. Like,
Bryan Singer, the most overrated X-Men director ever.
yeah, but yeah, so
That
I'll
came on
see it.
last week.
Yeah, I saw
That
it on
first
the
X-Men.
program guide. I have not watched the like earlier X Men movies, like probably since I've seen them in theaters,
Yeah.
and I'm not anxious to revisit them either. Um, but yeah, so I'm trying to
Did
think.
you
What was
see Did you see Agents of Shield? I know I keep saying that every podcast.
I'm trying to think. What was the most recent episode about? Because I haven't. I don't, I'm not sure if I've seen the most recent one.
Okay, so Agent May, she's still being held captive while her
Yeah,
LMD uh,
life
self
model
is,
decoy.
yeah. And she, I guess, in this one, she like wakes up and then tries to escape, and then she gets caught again, and
Okay,
it's
spoiler alert.
and
Okay, so I
in
haven't
this
seen
episode,
that one.
yeah, in this episode, it's the guy who's like running Shield, the Patriot guy. We find out that his powers aren't like he's
An
not
Inhuman.
an inhuman. That
Okay,
he's just taking
save it
like
there.
these little. He's taking like injections to like give him his powers
Okay,
and like yeah.
all
So
right.
you
I
haven't
need
seen
to
it,
check
okay?
that out. Okay. Yeah, but I've been watching. I've been watching a lot of stuff this week, but somehow that missed my list of
Tuesdays at
things to
9, man. It's
watch.
hard to remember it's on.
Yeah, in like I don't watch traditional cable anymore, so it's not like I get like I can just go to my DVR thing. It's like, oh, what new things do I have? I have PlayStation View, so I have to. I mean, it lists whatever the newer shows are, but sometimes I'll miss them. But the other stuff I've been watching this week. Have you watched that new Emerald City show?
I saw it. Yeah, it comes on Fridays. I saw like some of it. It's okay. I mean, if you're at home on a
Yeah,
Friday night,
it's that's the thing with these.
back to
I
back with
think there have
Grimm.
been two recent like attempts to reimagine the Wizard of Oz,
What's that one
and
that
they
was on the
never.
Sci-Fi Channel
It was
several
like
years
with
ago?
Zoe
Zoe
Deschanel. I
Deschanel.
don't remember anything about it. I remember trying to watch it, but I don't remember
It
any
wasn't very good.
detail.
It wasn't
But
very good.
this one is like I feel like it's in that same type of theme of like, oh, let's make it dark. Like, okay, this guy who we finally found out who the Tin Man is. Like, oh, he was horribly mutilated and created into this Tin Man
Yeah.
type figure who
No,
doesn't look
fuck him.
whimsical or anything. He's just like a grotesque body horror creature. It's like, okay, he's got one human arm and then a metal arm and then metal torso and legs. It's just like this is not uh what I was hoping for. Like, what is he gonna ask for from the wizard? Is he gonna ask for the sweet release of death? It's like these
Kill me,
different
please, God.
like the one guy who I guess was Scarecrow, the Scarecrow wants a brain. So in this iteration, he has memory loss and apparently he has
Alzheimer's.
PTSD. It's like, okay, mm, that's a weird new angle on it, but and then a there's one character who was it was supposed to be a boy who clearly had a woman's face and but with a short haircut, and they showed or like in they showed him in a bathtub, and you see they specifically make sure you see his male nipples, but this is clearly a woman's face. And then like over the course of these couple of episodes of the premiere, she like apparently her mom has been giving her this medicine to I guess keep her as a boy, and then all of a sudden she just turns into a girl, and
What the
like her,
fuck?
her hair is all of a sudden her hair is super long, and she has like a pretty a hefty bust that just appears out of nowhere, and I'm just like, okay, what is this?
Why is he trying to keep her a boy?
I don't know, but this is like she's taking some kind of pills to be a boy, but
Does he
like
have like a penis or?
I don't know. We don't get that far on NBC. We just noticed that we specifically are shown male nipples on this child, and then all of a sudden we see a rack at the end of the episode. Like that's weird. So did we just see female nipples on NBC? Is that their way to get around it? It's a very weird uh,
So,
concept that they added to this Oz story, which I don't
so
feel like I don't even know what analogous character this is supposed to be. Like, what is she
who's the
asking
lion?
for?
Is she supposed to be the lion?
I have
Like,
no
is there
idea.
a lion?
Like, I don't think there was anybody in the Wizard of Oz who was asking for a penis. So that is like I don't really
Dorothy.
know. There's it's like an apples to oranges comparison. I think Dorothy might have wanted one, but not in the sense that this boy girl
Uh,
wants one. But
so
yeah,
who's the cowardly lion? Is this
I
for,
don't think we've met the cowardly
okay?
lion yet. It's probably going to be some mutilated creature as well. It's just a cat who's had its head removed or has been stabbed in the heart by an evil circus ringmaster. Who knows? But yeah, I've been watching that reluctantly. Um,
But you don't have to watch it, Zach.
I don't have to, but I'm going through on weekends like this. I stay up extra late. I'm like, okay, what else are we gonna watch? I guess I'll check it out.
Distractions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny. It comes on after Grimm, which like I really like Grimm, and it
My mom watches the Grad.
yeah, it's been. I mean, I guess it was technically canceled or it wasn't renewed
This will be the
past
last.
this. Yeah,
Yeah,
because they announced it in season 5. The six would be the last season, but at least they have had a chance to write an
wrap,
ending. Unlike
tie
some
loose
other
ends,
shows that just be like, dun dun. We're
cliffhanger.
never gonna see what happens there. I guess. I guess they all lived happily ever after. That's why I always thought my one theory I had about pilot episodes or just about like episodic series in general, like they should always bank an episode where like a huge bomb goes off and everybody dies, and then they could just put that in if the show gets canceled at any point. Like they just film a pilot and it just an apocalypse episode,
But that'll
like
end
back to
any
back.
chance of like resurfacing on another network or a movie.
I
Or
mean, they don't
no
have to
network
release
will
the
allow.
episode. They could just
No
reveal
money making.
they could just reveal when they come back on Netflix that it was all a dream because that's always the escape for that.
Yeah,
It's just like
that's
you see
wonderful writing.
you just see all of the cast of Community standing around the table and like we can't defuse the bomb, and then there's just a flash of white, and then it's like bye everybody.
Now,
And
like
then
the gas leak from like season 4. That's how they explained how
yeah,
shitty season 4 was.
yeah, like that was a long time we had that gas leak. It's just it's almost as if someone else was writing the show. But yeah, another show I watch. If you want to talk about bad, um, are you
I bet.
familiar? Are you familiar with the company that's? I don't know if they're like connected, but they're very affiliated with the Sci-Fi Channel. Are you familiar with Asylum?
I oh is it was like some network where they show like horror movies or something?
Well, I
Or am I
mean,
thinking
they
of
make a lot of horror movies, but I don't know, they feel like they're pretty intertwined with the Sci-Fi Channel because a
okay.
lot of shows on there are like produced by this house, or like I think they produce Sharknado, and they have, if you look on, I think Watch Mojo has a list on YouTube, but there's a list of like real mainstream blockbusters and the Asylum ripoffs, which they call mockbusters. But
Okay.
they
Okay.
literally just they find out about like the most basic details of a script for an upcoming blockbuster movie, and
So
they immediately rush out a shitty version of
it's
that
like the
same movie.
porn parody thing. They're like
Almost,
they're kind
but
of
I
like
feel
that.
like I feel like, not speaking from experience, but I've heard that there's a lot more thought put into the writing of those porn parodies than of
Than
these
this.
Asylum mockbusters. Because like they did one of Transformers called Transmorphers. They have ones for like all the major like animated movies that are just like
Wow, I
horrible
can't believe I
animation.
haven't heard of this.
But like aside from their like shitty movies they make, they're also they make this show Z Nation on the Sci-Fi Channel.
That's the little Walking Dead ripoff.
Yeah, it I one thing I could say in favor of this show, at least, that it's not directly ripping off Walking Dead. There's a lot of things like if you watch Walking Dead and you watch the show, you'll see things that you recognize that are like homages to Walking Dead. But I feel like they're telling their own story, and it's it's
But they are
bad,
cashing
but
in on
it's
the whole
interesting.
zombie phenomenon, right?
Yeah,
That
that's really like the the overall like it's more like if you've ever played the game. I'm trying to think what the hell it's called. Dead Rising,
hmm
where it's just like you can make all these like stupid weapons and just go through. It's like a zombie playground. That's more of how they treat Z Nation. It's just like, what weird things can we do with zombies in this episode? Like, okay, let's have a zombie bear. They dropped it. Then they dropped a nuclear bomb in I think it was season one, and then there's like all these irradiated
yeah,
nuclear
that doesn't help.
mutated zombies. So they're like super fast, and I think some of them glow. So it's just like a weird. It's 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 a very weird show, but it's one of those things I go to when I was like, what else do we have to
When I'm feeling
watch?
blue.
Yeah, so it's just an odd show. Also, I've been watching that new Netflix show, Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events.
I didn't have any interest in the movie with Jim Carrey and this one with Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, I watched that way back in the day, and the one thing I was worried about is that they were just going to tell that story again, but they actually like took some different turns with it, and it's an interesting show.
Is it for
It's one of
kids or
those.
is it just
I think I feel like kids could watch it. There's nothing like it's
no
dark in the
boobies?
sense that it's about this guy trying to kill these two kids, but it's like it's a comedic take on
That's
it.
kid stuff.
Like if you've ever seen the movie, then it's more in that vein of like it's kind of like a Home
Like a
Alone
Tom and
style
Jerry. Okay.
thing. Yeah, yeah. It's like he's
Road Runner.
yeah. So it's just like this cat and mouse game of this guy trying to kill these two kids for inheritance money, and
He's
it's
trying to
funny
kill
the way they
them
play it out.
kid friendly killing.
Yeah,
Comically.
I mean,
Family.
it's more about the plot to kill them. Like he's trying to kidnap them and then take them off. He tries to marry the one girl who's like not legal age, but he's like, "Well, I'm your guardian and your husband." It's just
Ew.
so it's like it goes into weird angles, but it still like tries to play that balance of like funny and weird. Um, it's funny, but in that same vein, I've been watching this show. Like, I didn't realize how many like really good shows TBS had. Like, they just were secretly
Search
like put,
Party and
yeah, Search Party, People of Earth. I had never seen checked out the show The Detour, but I kept seeing commercials for it during like when I was watching Search Party.
that's the one with what's her face's Samantha Bee's husband. What's his name?
Yeah,
They're,
I can't
the
remember.
family.
Yeah, she produces it.
Yeah.
So like I try. I'm starting season one of that. I'm probably like I don't know, like 5 or 6 episodes in, but that show is good too. It's like it's
What's his name? Jones, Sam Jones, James Jones.
it's
That
Sam
name.
Jones. Well, not Sam Jones. It's something Jones,
Yeah.
but it's like a really like crazy road trip that keeps having all of these different detours. Like the most recent episode I watched, um, the wife she got ordained as a minister online just to prove a point to this pastor. Like, like
Anybody can
she's
be
an
a fucking
atheist.
minister.
She's just like, oh, now I'm a preacher now. She's just arguing with this guy, and it's like, it's a takeoff of like a medieval times restaurant, but it's about the conquistadors. She's just arguing with him at this restaurant, like, now I'm ordained minister. And then the following episode, this guy asks her to perform a wedding for him and his mail order Russian bride, but through like this like Three's Company level misunderstanding. They think it's this one woman, but it's actually the daughter of the woman.
Ooh.
So she's ready to officiate the wedding, and the 16-year-old walks up and he just starts kissing her. It's like, So it's just funny how that episode all plays out. But I've been enjoying that show. That's one of the shows where I've been like, let's just go to the next one. Like, so I've watched a few of those in a row.
I would say like TBS is probably one of the shows that, or one of the networks I probably watch the most. Like, and I don't
Yeah,
even realize it. Like I watch Seinfeld reruns like every weekday night, like the Friends
yeah,
repeats, and you know,
yeah. That's why I think that like I feel like they've been like undercover with it, but they just been like putting out good stuff. And I think the I guess the plus that they've had, or the bonus they've had, is that they've had Conan and Samantha Bee, and then they just each gave them their own deals to make
yeah.
shows. It's
Conan's
like
production
Conan, you're
company,
funny, do the
Conoco.
show,
Yeah.
because he does the People of Earth show, and then Samantha Bee produces the Detour. So I'm hoping for more shows from that. I hope there's a Search Party season 2. I finally finished season 1, but like I don't know, because it had like it's a good ending based on like the craziness that they get into. It's just like I hope that show comes back, but I don't know if it will. But yeah, so that's pretty much the stuff I've been watching. Uh, Anything new you've checked out over the week?
No, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to like go like network by network because I know like the none of the superhero DC shows are back, and
Yeah, I
I
still
don't watch
haven't finished the
Gotham.
last ones from the end of the year for those. I've gotten back into Gotham, which nobody likes it
God
except
bless.
me. I
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's just like I've divorced myself from the fact that it's going to make any sense when Batman becomes of age. So it's just like, okay, this is the Jim Gordon
Oh,
superhero
there's
show.
some news. There's some news this week. Apparently, Harley Quinn is going to make an appearance at some point.
Of course she is, and she's probably going to be in diapers because
Stupid.
if we want to follow the trend, I mean, well, Harley Quinn is going to be uh, I mean, if she's going to be connected with Joker, which she should be, uh, Joker in this version was killed, but it seems like maybe that's not going to be
Yeah,
the
and that's
case
that he's
anymore.
supposed to be coming back too.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Uh, Another great actor from the show Shameless, which I gotten back to watching because I've like missed the entire last season of Shameless, and I'm going into that. So, but yeah, there's a
but,
lot of good stuff
but
on
yeah,
TV. I'm trying to
yeah.
think. Anything new came back besides Agents of Shield?
No, I think because I think the DC stuff is like a week or so away.
Yeah, I've
I
been waiting
tried.
for Last Man on Earth to come back. It's not back yet.
I've been looking to like go to the movies like past 2 weeks. There's just nothing that's really enticing
Yeah,
to go see because we're in like Oscar bullshit season. So a lot of these
yeah.
movies you wouldn't go to a multiplex to see are coming out.
You've got the Oscar bait movies that had a very limited release, and they got nominated, and like now they're all over the
Just
place.
under the radar, just under
Yeah,
the wire.
yeah, and then
Just
there's
one
the
theater. That's all it needs. Is one theater.
yeah, and then there's the January dumping ground movies. Um,
Which I'm starting to
yeah,
like more because you actually get to see some interesting stuff this time of the year.
yeah. What I'm looking for is new creative ideas.
Exactly.
There seems to be a dearth of those
Because look at the
right
like I
now.
mean the movies that have come out around this time period the past couple of years. I mean you had, I mean Taken came out. I think that was like in '09.
I
It
will
came out around
find
this
you.
time of the year.
Yeah,
Fucking Deadpool.
yeah, in February. Oh, speaking of Taken, it's gonna be a network TV show. How do
I
you feel
saw the
about
little
that?
commercial for that. Like Jesus.
Why? Like this? It's
Why? We have to learn how he learned his particular set of skills, Zach.
is it the same? Is it supposed to be the same guy as the Liam Neeson character?
I
Is
was
it
trying to hear like
prequel?
is he supposed to be Irish or
I don't know. I This is the weird thing with people in these accents. It's like you never have people playing who they actually are. It's like this guy's supposed to be Irish, so we're gonna get this guy from Philadelphia and cast him as the character. and his partner is from the deep south. So let's get this British actor. Does a his their great southern accent.
I just feel like the younger version of him needs to be Irish just for like continuity and
Yeah, and I guess
interest.
that makes I have a certain set of skills because I've been involved in the recovery of 49 kidnapped people. So we can have many episodes of me doing the same thing over and over again.
He says that, or just
No, but I'm thinking
this is
like
that's just like a
if this
your
is supposed to
presumed
be a
premise.
yeah, but this is supposed to be the uh
He just saves like
prequel
sex
of
trade victims,
yeah, but
from sex traffickers.
like if that plays out logically, like okay, he's like the Taken guy. He saves people. By the time the movie happens, won't he be like, Christ, not again? Now it's my kids. Like there should be some connection there. It's like, but I guess that's his
I think it'll be
particular
more
set
than
of
just
skills.
him saving people from kidnappings.
The Taken team. They're gonna break it up, and Taken is gonna be an acronym for something else. We call ourselves the
Terrorist
TAKEN.
aggravation, killing,
Kidnapping. Okay, has to be some
enterprising
kidnapping.
network.
Yeah, the terrorism and kidnapping escape network. Hey, there you
Hey,
go.
thought
but
of that right at the top of your head.
yeah, I I these like TV adaptations of movies like are never that great. Like I tried Limitless like for one episode. I don't even know if that show is still on.
That show was actually getting pretty decent ratings, and they canceled it on CBS last
Oh
year.
well,
That was
well then
surprising.
there you go. Because this is one thing with these shows. Is like I kind of try to look in my crystal ball and like, does this look like a show that's going to get canceled? Like, what didn't they do? What the hell is the Jackie Chan Chris Tucker movie Rush Hour?
Rush
And
Hour,
they do
that's
that
still
as
on.
a
Oh no, it's not still on. So it got canceled. Yeah, I'm sorry.
okay. Like, of course it
It's
did,
gone.
and that's why I was like, I'm not gonna watch this because I'm gonna count down, and when they announce that it's canceled, then I'm gonna release myself of that
Yeah,
burden
because
of thinking about it.
Amy Garcia, who was on it, she's on not Lethal Weapon, on Lucifer on Fox.
Okay, because
Yeah.
that's the funny thing is that the main guy who plays Nick on the show Grimm, they like he was at one of these like premiere events or one like some type of thing where nerds get to ask him questions, and they were asking like because the character that plays his
Press
mom,
junkets.
yeah, the character that plays his mom got decapitated, and they're like. Well, there's all kind of supernatural stuff. So, is there a possibility that your mom will come back? He's like, well, here's a hint at that. She's on a major show on CBS now, so just think
Like
about that. I was like,
that's anyone
that's
who
a
like
good hint.
who understands TV would know the answer to that
It's like,
question, but
well,
these
they can't
nerds.
do both of those shows at the same time. It
Yeah,
doesn't
if you
work.
check like casting news, you know if a character is not coming back to a show or has been killed off and
Yeah, it's like,
isn't.
oh, the guy who played Tyrese is on Arrow now, so he's not coming back as a zombie or anything like that anytime soon. Maybe there's hope for T Dog. He hasn't been cast in anything.
Yes, if you find out that some actor on one of your favorite TV shows has been
Got a new
cast in
job.
some
Good for
movie
him.
or
He's got
something.
two jobs. Oh, he's
Exactly.
got one job still.
Yeah, exactly.
But
The
yeah,
writing is on the wall.
yeah. So I'm trying to think. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we wrapped up for this week?
No, I just like to touch myself.
That is
Did you
another show.
did you
It's on
watch any
another channel.
wrestling?
I'm trying to think. I think I watched. I for sure watched Raw just because I'm a masochist. Um, I'm trying to think.
Would you do
What
you
were
want to
the
talk about
highlights of the week?
the reveal of the luchadora on
Oh
SmackDown?
yeah, that was a pleasant surprise. I mean, it was expected, but I was like you knew it wasn't Mickey James until it was
It
Mickey
was
James.
because you
It was
saw her
like, hey,
fucking
that
tits.
ass and those tits. I was like, yes, I there you go. Like so, I like the reveal of that. I'm glad to see Mickey James back on the main roster.
I wasn't watching wrestling that much during her tenure
I
or
really
first
like
tenure.
I really like Mickey James. She was one of those. The problem with the uh
But I
I
read that they
would
kind
say
of treated her like crap, but the storyline
yeah,
was kind of weird.
yeah, like backstage was a different story because I think she got involved with John Cena and then they had a falling out and then
Yeah, apparently
Cena
she had
didn't want to
was
deal
too
with her.
clingy.
Yeah, then Cena
Yeah,
didn't want to deal with her anymore and in a roundabout way he got her fired. But John Cena's a good guy, but
yeah
whatever.
apparently. Yeah.
Uh, but like character wise, I liked Mickey James because she had an interesting like storyline, which has kind of been like her character trait of crazy has been stolen, and that was just like a generic thing to give women for a while. Like, oh, she's crazy. That's
Yeah.
like her
E- e-
character trait.
Either fighting for a man, or they're crazy, or mean girls, or
Yeah, but I
take your pick.
yeah, but like Mickey James was she had an interesting intro with her story. She ended up coming out as
And
she was like this
obsessed.
crazy Trish Stratus fan,
Yeah.
and basically just turns on her. It kind of reminded me of it's a bad comparison, but like Jamie Foxx as Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like he loved Spider-Man, but it's like he felt spurned by him, and then it's just like a jealous revenge story. So that's how the whole Mickey James thing played out, and it was like kind of a a low key lesbian angle thrown into it.
Yeah,
So
she defeated her. That was at WrestleMania. The whole, what botched ending, and then she did the whole like pussy eating
yeah,
gesture.
yeah. So like I'm glad to see Mickey James back. Hopefully she can have a good run because I feel like women are getting a more respectful writing
I'm
hand
just
thrown to
trying
them.
to see, is she a heel or a baby
Well, she's
face? And
definitely a heel. She came out and helped. She helped Alexa Bliss, right?
yeah, but who's like the? Don't they have enough heels on SmackDown? Who are the baby faces aside from like Becky
I
Lynch?
mean, I think that's a problem across the WWE. Like there's
They can't make
there's not that
baby
many.
faces.
That's because that's one of the things that I've heard wrestlers say, and like I think it's pretty true. Like that's probably the hardest role to play is a baby face because it's like your your main character motivation is that people like me, and it's like hard thing to force. So it's like the best way to become a baby face is to be an exciting heel because you can do whatever you want and without the pressure of having people react positively. So you could
I
just beat up baby faces, you could do dirty tactics, and then people will eventually start liking you. Then you can just fight other heels and be a successful face that way.
I think it pretty much just all comes down to who you are in real life. Because you look at
Yeah.
somebody like Becky Lynch, and you look at like people like Sasha Banks. Like if you're someone who's like a cool, relatable person, that kind of goes a long way into your wrestler's personality, your character's
Yeah, but even
personality.
with but even with Sasha Banks is that she got over and got popular with the fans by playing the role of a heel. And as a face now, she's still kind of just doing her heel persona, but fighting other heels.
Yeah.
Because you're like saying I'm the boss isn't a like baby face thing to say. It's like
Well, what about like
cocky
New
and full of
Day?
yourself.
What about like New Day with like Xavier Woods with the whole up down down and some of
I
the
mean,
other like cool stuff like the unicorns and like the cereal.
that was one of the things he was able to branch off into, but like really what their
They do
rise
hill
came
stuff.
their rise came as heels, and they were like they were trying to be baby faces but in a way that was written by Vince McMahon that was totally unrelatable. So the fans turned on them, and then they leaned into that, and finally was like, okay, let's just be heels, let's be self-righteous semi-religious heels, and then that got over. Then they were able to actually be baby faces. So it kind of works in a way where you have to play your character in a way where you don't care if they boo you or not, because people's main instinct when they see new things is to boo. So you have to play it as if you want those boos. So
What
then when
about
you get past,
Bailey?
I mean, Bailey is a children's character, and I'm sure there's plenty of people who don't like her who aren't children. Like, like for me, like I think her character is interesting, but she reminds me too much of John Cena. She's just like a female John Cena, and she's like that whole thing she had
Try
with
hard,
Charlotte.
don't give up.
Yeah, that that whole
Oh,
thing
that
she had
was
with Charlotte
terrible,
was
by the
the
way. That
worst thing
fucking
ever.
that whole thing with the whole her those pictures
Poetry.
where she's like a fan and she's like a mark, even though she doesn't call her a mark, and he's
Yeah,
like
but
making fun of her. And
it was like in the world of professional wrestling, like kayfabe wise, like why would Charlotte think it's a bad thing to be a wrestling fan? Like you're a wrestler. Like why this is bad that she likes loves this business. So yeah, that whole thing was weird, and that they put up like a poem on the Titantron, but it was way too small for her to actually read it from the ring.
yeah.
So, like that was it was like production issues and like bad promo combined into a total
What did you think
shitstorm.
about the Jerry Lawler Dolph Ziggler thing, where Ziggler basically says he's gonna murder him?
I like playing into that real life heart attack that he had after
But people
getting
thought
those
it was kind of
elbows.
tasteless, though. They
It was
didn't
it
like it.
was tasteless, but the first person to make jokes about that was Jerry Lawler. Like Jerry Lawler, that's the one thing I kind of miss him on commentary,
I
but
do too.
like from like Attitude Era commentary, because he was like a sleazy
The
piece of
heel.
shit, like an actual like he was like the biggest heel at the time in certain eras, like with Bret Hart. Like one of his biggest rivalries was just with Jerry Lawler, who was a commentator. So like I liked that
Royal Rumble.
dark
He's doing the
heel.
Royal Rumble. He's
Yeah,
coming
then
back for
he
that.
yeah. So like I like that Jerry Lawler's like dark sense of humor because he because like whenever Dolph Ziggler would come out when he used to do commentary, it's like, hey, that guy gave me a heart attack. It's like oh watch out, he's doing those elbows.
Hey,
So like
he agreed to it. I mean, what he did, like what, 3 or 4 of those elbow drops on his fucking chest.
yeah, and then later in the show like
Yeah, knocked his heart out of rhythm.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I like that they're playing into that. It's a little bit late to follow up on that, but
yeah,
I like that they actually
5
are
years.
doing. Yeah, I like that they're actually doing it. I guess they had to have him get his heart back into working order so they could actually do a program with him. Like, well, let's not make this happen again for real. um, so that was interesting with him. This is probably the most interested I've been in Dolph Ziggler in years because like as like this scrappy struggling babyface loser, I wasn't into that character. So like having him away from like the main event picture is hopefully the direction they're taking him. So that part of SmackDown was interesting. And I just like overall that they had this women's match in the main event. I don't remember anything like specifically from the match that was like
No, those
great,
steel cages.
but the reveal for Mickey was good. Should I think was there any other highlights from wrestling this week? I think that was about it. I don't watch 205 Live, although they had an I
Yeah.
forfeit match, which I was interested in finding out
What the
about.
hell happened? I didn't even see.
Yeah, I have to go back and watch that and see. I still have some catching up to do as far as that stuff goes. When is the Royal Rumble actually though?
It is a week from
Tonight.
it was like the 31st. What day is that?
Uh, oh, it can't be the 31st. It must be the 29th because a week from
Yeah, it's a week from
today.
yeah, it's from today. It would have to
So
be.
yeah, so I'm awaiting that. It feels like the longest wait of for the Royal Rumble that we ever had.
Waiting
It's
is the
just that
hard
they've been
part.
previewing it for so long. Is that they started like 6 months ago? It feels like previewing the Royal Rumble. A lot of people are thinking that
Yeah, it
Shaq
shows you
is gonna come
how much they
out.
care about fucking the Survivor Series and those other pay-per-views. Eh?
Yeah, but some people are speculating that Shaq is going to come out in
Who the fuck
like
wants to see that?
yeah, I think the idea is that he's gonna come out and interfere and cause Big
A
Show to
stupid
be eliminated.
WrestleMania match that nobody
Yeah,
gives a shit about.
yeah. It's like Big Show got into his best shape for this match that nobody's gonna care about. Like, I mean, Shaq has mainstream appeal, and of course, that's what they go for with WrestleMania. But it's like this is not gonna be anything
Hope they
exciting to
boot
watch.
asses out of the building.
Yeah, that's the weird thing is that Shaq. I mean, Big Show always gets into like his best physical shape when he does these like gimmick
Gimmicky,
matches.
stupid
Like he was in good shape when he did the Mayweather fight, and he got into good shape for
punch
the
in the.
Shaq
Yes.
match, which is he's just going to do punches and maybe finish the match with a punch. So it's like just no real point in all of that. But
Who are
yeah,
you looking forward to seeing show up at the Rumble? Any oldies? Any newbies?
I've gotten out of the idea of like speculating about who I want to come in because it's never like who I would like to see. Like they've done RVD in the past. They did
Because Kenny
Dudley
Omega
Boy.
can't do it because his contract expires. I think with New Japan Wrestling like 2 days after the Rumble.
And I still need to see that Omega Okada match because like I still see people gushing about it. Like I, I don't have anything uh, to relate to about the match, so I need to check it out to see what all the fuss is about. But yeah, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that like I really want to see this person like Rockstar Spud from TNA. I don't know. It's but like it seems to be uh just they spin a wheel and whoever answered the phone that's who they get. So I don't know who it's gonna be. Uh, but yeah, uh, I feel like the biggest one that like came out of I mean there was speculation, but I wasn't following it too closely. But the biggest one that excited me the most recently was AJ, and I don't know if they could top that because that was like decades in the making. It was like well, AJ Styles is like the biggest star who's never been in WWE outside of Sting, and then he finally shows up. So they can't top that. So I'm just gonna be watching just for the excitement of the Rumble in general.
Cool.
But yeah, so I think that should be it for this week. You want to give out your details for people to hit you up on social media?
Sure. My Twitter handle is at Anthony Hoffman. You can find me on Facebook. Just search Anthony Hoffman. My Instagram name is Tony Hoffman Chai. That's Tony Hoffman CHI.
All right, and I'm on Twitter at Zach from Chicago. That's ZAC from Chicago. I'm on Instagram at ZH Radio. You can find me on YouTube doing my YouTube thing, youtube.com/Zach Hughes. And you can check me out on Facebook if you want to at facebook.com/Zach Hughes. Both ways spelled ZAC Hughes. Check out the podcast on Twitter at Frustrated Grad, on YouTube at youtube.com/Frustrated Grads, and check out the audio version of this podcast, which I take great pride in making my cool little intros. Check out the audio podcast at frustratedgrad.com as well as iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. So that's it for this episode of the Frustrated Grad podcast. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for listening. And that's all you get for today. Boop. Now, for anybody still watching, it's bonus time.
What do we win?
You win a very exclusive hashtag. All right. So,
Uh,
what's the
ooh.
hashtag for this episode and title? I'm trying to think. There was a lot of inauguration stuff. We talked about dead dogs. Um,
Some reference to like the women's march, like pussy,
pussy hats.
pussy hat,
Uh,
pussy hat.
a pussy's purpose, because it was this movie called A Dog's Purpose. Um, tr- Trump versus pussy. Although I'm trying to, I try to keep my titles clean enough where it doesn't give everything away.
I like that. A pussy's purpose.
No, I mean that's a good title, but maybe not for this. Maybe not for this episode. I'm trying to think. A cat's purpose instead of a
Mm,
dog's purpose. I really like Trump versus pussy, but I can't do that. What else? Uh, President poop emoji. Um,
Poop emoji.
Uh, just like the phrase alternate facts. Like episode 43, alternate facts. Uh,
Poop.
Let me see. Too old for this president. Because in between the lines there, the president is taking the place of shit. Uh,
President poop emoji.
yeah, I like that one.
Okay.
How's that? Okay, so uh, you can tweet at us with the hashtag Prez Poop. How about that? PRESPOOP. Or
That's Z.
I
P
mean,
R P
okay,
R E Z.
PREZPOOP. Prez Poop. See, when a rapper debuts with that name, I'm going to sue him and make millions of dollars.
Hey.
So, uh, so the title will be President Poop Emoji, and tweet at us with the hashtag PrezPoop. Uh, so this is the official end of the podcast. Thanks for hanging around. Peace out.